Hello. Congratulations on winning the Ruby Prize.
Thank you.
Yeah. For the audience, could you introduce yourself briefly?
Sure. Yeah. My name is Kevin Newton, and I work at Shopify. I'm based out of Boston, Massachusetts, in the United States, and I've been working on Ruby as a committer for about 2 years, and I've been working with Ruby and Ruby on Rails for about 10 years now. Yeah.
So you won the prize for your Prism, the project. So before that, how did you encounter to the programming in the computer?
How did I start the project? So about 5 years ago, I started working on a formatter, automatic formatter for Ruby. And it was originally a plugin for the Prettier package. I was trying to use only the standard library. So the only option at the time was Ripper. And Ripper doesn't provide everything that you need, so it was difficult. So I wanted to build a tool that would provide a syntax tree, and I started to do that with Ripper, and it was just very, very hard. So when I joined Shopify, I pitched writing a new parser for Ruby, and they said no. Because it didn't make sense, because the parser was fine, there was no need to. But then Ruby 2.7 came out, and pattern matching was introduced, and that was a lot of new syntax. And at Shopify, there's a team for Truffle Ruby, and a team for Sorbet, and a team for C Ruby, and a team that works on Rubocop. And all of these tools had to update with the new syntax, and it slowed them very far down. They all had to work on that, and they were working on 4 different parsers. And then Shopify was like, oh, this is a good idea. We should build a new parser. And so then they accepted the idea, and that was how we started working on it, because we wanted all of these tools to share the same development. And around the same time, all of the language servers were coming out, and error tolerance was a big consideration. So all of that wrapped up, and that's how we came to the decision to make the project. Yeah.
So how did you get interested in the Ruby format at the first one?
Yeah, at the time I was working at a very small startup, and I was the only developer. And my code style was all over the place, and I was also learning the front end. And so I first came to Prettier through JavaScript, through everything, and I actually learned a lot through it, just formatting my code correctly. And I wanted the same experience for Ruby. But also, I've always been interested in languages, programming languages, since college, and I knew I would have to get into the syntax tree, and I was just very excited to do that. So, it was kind of it was by way of Prettier, but also I just was very interested in digging in, learning.
So the Prism is your natural extension to your interest.
Yeah, definitely, yes. I also wanted to build other things on top of it. I started working on, there's a library on my GitHub that takes Prism and compiles it into instruction sequences in Ruby, and does some analysis over it to do like data flow diagrams and stuff like that. So I'm very interested in this space, and the parser is fun, but I'm much more excited about the things we're going to build on top of it. Like all the things that come next, I'm very excited about. Yeah.
So the second question is so how did you get interested in programming in general in your childhood?
Yeah, my dad was an electrical engineer, hardware, and so I got exposed to computers very young. I started with a DOS machine, and then I think the first computer I really was programming on was like a Windows XP, and I slowly got exposed to it. I was programming on little calculators, and in high school I started taking computer science classes, and I fell in love with it very quickly. It was one of the first subjects in school where everything clicked, and I was surprised it hadn't happened for me before. I'd always had to study and everything, but in computer science it just kind of made sense, and I was very excited about it. And I remember spending all of my time in high school building websites. Just so much. I should have been doing other things, but I was learning, and I was so excited, and everything was PHP and jQuery. And then, funny enough, in junior year, I took a class, and it was Ruby, and it was Ruby 1.8, and we were building a little game engine, and the teacher really liked Ruby, and he wanted to show it to us. So that was really fun. And so yeah, ever since it's just been what I've been doing in my spare time and my work, and I've always been, just very excited about it.
Yeah. The next question was how did you met Ruby, but you answered already.
Yeah. Also, the first job I got out of school was at a healthcare company that was programming in Ruby. It was Ruby on Rails. It was 2.3 at the time, and yeah, because that was my first job, I dug in and I learned as much as I could, and then I just kept staying with Ruby companies ever since. Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice. So you've put a lot of effort to the Prism project, and your browser is done, and the many libraries and tools already support Prism, and you've done a lot of things. But what do you think about the future of Prism and yourself?
Yeah. So I want Prism to help provide a common language so that everyone, when they're learning Ruby's syntax tree and they're learning about Ruby syntax, they always learn the same terms in the same language. So I hope that it can go out and become the foundation on which we build all of the other things. So next year we're going to continue working on Prism. We're going to make sure that we have complete compatibility for CRuby, so it's no bugs and everything. We want to make it much more performant. Very excited about the performance of it. Better error tolerance, and then just in general, hoping to build more things on top of it. There's some internal tools at Shopify that require parsing, and we're already starting to migrate all of them over to Prism. So that's the general, and then hopefully we can find a way to make it the default parser in CRuby. I hope so. But yeah, so that's Prism. For me personally, I hope to continue to work on Prism, and then if it comes a time where we can continue to go on other things, I would love to go back to the Widget team. It's so much fun. They're so talented, and I love working with them. But I also, I haven't told anyone this, but I have a dream of rewriting the regular expression engine in pure Ruby with its own JIT compiler, which would be very fun. But I don't know if I can convince anyone to let me do that. So it's gonna be a while before that happens. But I would love to do that someday.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, first you proposed the rewriting the browser in the recursive descent way, and I estimated that it would take, say, years, because I had been working on the browser for years, even decades, and I estimated it would take 5 years, 6 years, but you've done it in a very short amount of way, and you are productive. Your team is productive, and I was impressed. And I would ask you, so that what is your tips or secret of your productivity?
Yeah.
You even had a baby during the time.
Yeah. Well, my team is very good. I work every day with Gemma Israf, who is very talented, and so she's very productive as well. And so the two of us have been working together very closely. But one of the things I think that helps the most is that the test suites were already built. So we borrowed the test suite from Ryan Davis's Ruby parser, Seattle RB Ruby parser, the White Quark parser gem. We imported those tests, and then we imported tests from Sorbet, and which was previously the typed Ruby parser, and then we also grabbed a bunch of tests from Ruby, C Ruby.
Yeah.
So because we had the test suite already built, and we were just failing everything to start with, but it's so much easier to build software when you know exactly what you have to fix, as opposed to coming up with the tests as you go. So I think that has been one of the biggest secrets to our productivity, is that we had a list of tests that were failing, and you just go one by one. And if you get frustrated with one, then you just put it away and go and fix more. And it becomes very, I'm not sure the word, like multiplicative. It becomes very exponential, because if you fix one thing, it tends to fix a bunch of other things. And yeah, so it was more like writing to a spec than inventing new software. So that really helped a lot.
So the having the clear goals and the guidelines and
Yeah.
would help you to be productive.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
The last question is do you have any desire, ambition toward the future in your personal life or your personal project?
Yeah,
including regular expression.
Yeah, I do want to do the regular expression thing. I also have another project that I've worked on that is a Ruby object layer on top of Ruby VM instruction sequence, and it allows you to create instruction sequences in Ruby and then run them on Yarv. And it's been very fun. I have it so that now you can write Ruby methods in the I'm going to say this brainfuck language, and it can compile it into instruction sequences and run it. But it's very fun because it treats Yarv as a compilation target. So I would love to work further on that. One of the things that I've done with that is that sometimes with pattern matching, it can generate a lot of instructions that never get used because it'll just jump over them for certain expressions. And so I would love to build a layer into CRuby, because there's iSeq translate now, and it could compile the instruction sequences, do some analysis on them, and then eliminate instructions that will never get hit. Kind of like a first top layer JIT before it hits YJIT, just like a Yarv JIT. So I'd love to work more on that layer. But also because we have the instruction sequences and we can build those dynamically, we could try to convert regular expressions into Yarv instructions directly to make them more of like a first-class piece of the language.
So in your plan, so that your regular expression engine would share the instruction set.
Yeah, potentially, maybe.
Yeah, instead of having the different VM.
Right, yeah.
That's quite interesting.
Yeah, I would love to see that happen. And especially for simple instructions, you could do that fairly easily. For more complicated regex, it gets very hard.
Yeah.
But especially the simple ones, you could do.
That's brilliant idea. Yeah. Probably that's all from my questions. Do you have any words for the audience who might be interested in the Ruby the language in general, and as a forerunner?
Yeah, it's I think CRuby, because it has lasted for so long and it can be quite a large code base, it can be very intimidating. And I certainly don't understand all of the code base. It's a very large piece. So I think my number one piece of advice is to become very familiar with small amounts of the code base. don't try to learn everything. But if you wanted to make yourself an expert in one particular subject, because it's a lot more approachable and it feels much more manageable. And then if you have questions, always ask. People are always so willing to help, especially on the bug tracker or on GitHub or Slack or something. Everyone wants to help. It's a great community. So don't hesitate to reach out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for the opportunity and yeah, congratulations again.
Thank you so much. Thank you.